Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Saturday HOA Brunch, presented by Angius&Terry, LLP. Please sit back, relax, and join Brad Epstein and Jonathan Broderick for an hour of entertaining information about HOAs and HOA law.
Welcome. Good morning, everyone. September 19th, you are with the Saturday HOA Brunch. I am Brad Epstein. Not with me today are my co-hosts, the rambunctious Romanian Diana Barbu. She is absent today. Jonathan Broderick, he is absent today. He is actually down at a board seminar down in Modesto with a great management company, Liberty Property Management. In a couple minutes, we're going to have Garth Leone on the show. He's been on the show before. He is our insurance expert, and he is going to be substituting for Mr. Broderick today. We do have Frank on the show.
Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
There you go. And Frank is our engineer extraordinaire. He's been in the business for 60 years.
Now, wait a minute.
Long time. Do your math, Frank. Yeah. Excellent engineer. We're so happy that he works with us. So the Saturday HOA Brunch, we are a law firm that does representation for community associations. If you're a board member, you want to tune in. If you're a homeowner, realtor. So we're going to have our board game today also, Frank.
You know, I think you should be on that mic all the time.
Thank you so much. Well, always advice. There you go. So I just heard that Mr. Leone is going to be up here in just a couple of minutes. I just heard him ring. And we're going to talk about vehicle towing and parking rules. Our previous episodes, we covered all kinds of things from board meetings, rules, IDR, workers' comp, etc. I just remembered. I want to give a shout out to one of our great listeners who's in trouble now. Everyone give their hopes and prayers to Monty. Monty out in Reno, and hoping that he's going to do better. And we want to hear from you. We're going to get some callers today. Again, we're going to have the game show, the board game, and Brianna and Diane, they're going to call in just a couple minutes. 888-923-1380, 888-923-1380. You want to listen to us if you're outside the Sacramento area, you can go ahead and just click on your computer. Go to 1380 KTKZ, 1380 KTKZ on your computer and just hit play. It's easy. So what you're doing is you're going to the web page for this radio station. And you can do it on your cell phone as well. I've done that many times. You want to go ahead and you want to get on our show, go ahead and give us a call. And in comes the illustrious Garth Leone. Now, he was stuck in traffic. Major, tell us about that. What happened?
What a way to start your Saturday, I tell you. I got on, I like to be prepared. I'm a little bit of a Boy Scout, although they kicked me out for misbehaving. But I hit the Business 80 at about 8:42. 2.5 miles from the beautiful studio here.
Right, no problem.
Ready to come in, get a glass of water, say hello to Mr. Jolly, which I always like to do.
Yeah,
get a little tech talk with Mr. Jolly. Settle down, look over the questions, be ready to go, and it's a parking lot. I sat there for 18 minutes.
Yeah, well, you're only a couple minutes late, so no big deal. It's going to be great. We're going to just told everyone we're going to have our board game, so you're going to help out that. In fact, you're substituting for Mr. Broderick, who's down at a board training seminar down in Modesto. He's having a great time. He's going to call in, maybe not. We'll see what he does. And so what we're talking today.
I think I'm the high-priced stunt double, aren't I? Usually he does all his own stunts, but today I've got a stunt. I think I think that's technically called on assignment, right?
Yeah,
Mr. Broderick is on assignment. I think he's going to call in from his on assignment.
From the field,
He's in the
right?
field, yes. Yeah. Kind of like a live remote almost.
Well, thank goodness we can afford you. It's we're successful and you're top notch, so it just all works out. Garth, I want to know, I'm going to be throwing some zingers at you because you have opinions because you've been in this industry for so many years. You have met so many board members, so many managers, so many industry professionals that you have acquired so much knowledge, and our listeners are going to want to hear from you. You said, hey, we're going to talk about one of the P's of the 3 P's. The 3
big P's, yes. The issues that make community association living go round and round. So, you're right. Since 92, since when I got in the business, right about the same time you did, right?
A little bit earlier than me, yeah.
I think you and I have known each other for 20 years now. How many times have you and I presented on this topic we're talking about today? Or when we're presenting on something else, because you and I have done, probably at least 6 or 7 panel presentations together? Where
If that, probably more. We've been in a long time, yeah.
This one always comes up, and it's one of the big P's, people, pets, and parking.
People, pets, and parking.
Parking today, yes, awesome. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, so it's the Davis-Stirling Act. And so what do you think about the Davis-Stirling Act? You think that they did some improvements when they revamped it in 2014, so a couple years ago, but previously it was in effect from 1986. Long-time law that has to do with nothing but community associations. You think it's okay? You think people can use it?
Yeah, it's interesting because my role now is I've got a national program for workers' compensation, so I spend a lot of time in a lot of other regions of the company or the country dealing with the same issues. It's still the big three, that's really the issues. But it's interesting, as a California boy who was raised up in the community under the Davis-Stirling Act, you see how a lot of other states are trying to play catch up to what those guys, they were pretty visionary in terms of the way they put it together. And it's interesting because it started as a sort of a simple concept. We're going to have a 1 hour meeting once a quarter to run the association, 15 minutes of business, 45 minutes of socializing, and the complexity with which the institution has evolved, sort of required this legislative body. But it is interesting to see how Davis-Stirling, a lot of states kind of look towards the Davis-Stirling Act as they're trying to get their act together as they grow in association population. So
no, that's good. That gives us a perspective. So you have a nationwide perspective, and a lot of folks have a real local perspective. So it's good to know that all the other board members and associations, they have similar problems. The company that you have, what is the name of it and what does it do?
We're a Community Association Insurance Solutions, and we are a national program manager. We've become the insurance company for this product for workers' compensation specific for community associations. So I started as a retail insurance agent, as locally here in Northern California and Southern Nevada, and insured 850 associations, like one of our fine sponsors, Rick Russo, did that level of participation, and then moved into this. I had what I called an entrepreneurial seizure, decided I needed to solve the workers' compensation.
Entrepreneurial seizure.
Yes, I was just brave enough and stupid enough to try to solve this product demand that all the guys like me and Rick had for workers' comp. So we solved that in 2008, and I've been out, promoting that across the country. And so we have a workers' compensation product specific to community associations. We deal with the exposure of the employee of the uninsured contractor, and of course the volunteers. And
super important.
Yeah, so volunteers, including work-related injuries, i.e. the guy in Unit 7 decides he's going to go to the president's house and punch him in the spleen because the president ordered the tow of this guy's truck. So that would constitute a work-related injury for which our fine policy would probably pay for that damaged spleen.
Oh, that's a good segue. So later on, Mr. Leone, Garth Leone, he's going to give us our tip of the week. It's going to come at the end of the show. Don't go away. He's also going to assist in the board game, and we'll have our contestants on in just a little bit. And what we want to do is we want to give you information about towing. This is super important. I have always said that the one claim that is most popular against community managers is an owner whose vehicle was towed. I always sort of analogize it to the Old West. What happens in 1880? You take someone's horse, you're a horse thief. The person, they cannot get around. It's a big deal. It can be more than an inconvenience. It can affect. Frank is just giving me some signals, and it can really affect a person's life, and they'll take you to small claims court. So
in those days, if you stole my horse, I could shoot you.
That's true.
Thanks, Frank.
Maybe that would result in less towing if we still had that operating rules around here.
So the main law we're looking at, it is California Vehicle Code 22658. 22658. This is not in the Davis-Stirling Act. This is in the Vehicle Code. The Vehicle Code 22658. And there are 4 ways that associations can tow vehicles. One is if you have that, Garth, you have that sign. Let me go through them quickly, then we'll break them down. Then we're going to look at them twice today. So one is you have the signs at the entrances. The other is if you go ahead and you can tow right away then. The other is if you have put a notice on the vehicle and you wait 96 hours. 96 hours, that's a couple of days, right? I think that's, what is that, 4 days?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have a vehicle that looks like it's completely inoperable, it's lacking an engine, transmission, wheels, tires, doors, whatever. And then the last is it's just with respect to if someone parks, say, on your home in a non-community association, and they just park on your driveway. Oh, so great. Thanks, Frank. So we have Jonathan on the line. Jonathan, how is it going down there in beautiful Modesto? Is it balmy? It's balmy up here, right?
It's actually Diana calling.
Oh, Diana. Yay.
Much better than Jonathan.
Yeah, everyone in this room said, all right. Excellent.
How's the weather where you're at, Diana? Is it balmy?
No, it's actually pretty nice out here. I just wanted to call and thank the HOA Brunch and Angius&Terry for putting on the Liberty Property Management Board legal seminar that's happening right now at Galetto's.
Oh, it's at Galetto's. Oh my gosh, that's a great place. That's great. You guys, so you guys are just probably just gearing up, right? And you have board members there. Does it look like you have a nice crowd and everyone's gonna have a good time?
Yeah, I have about 30 board members that came, and Susanna's presenting to them right now on what their roles are as board members and everything. And I think it's going to be a great event.
Oh, fantastic. So this is Diana. She's with Liberty Property Management down in Modesto and other areas, and she is a fantastic manager. And so you like to tow vehicles, right? That's like...
We all know that the board and the managers do this just for the joy of towing somebody's car, right?
Yeah, Diana, really, it's a serious issue, towing vehicles, right? It could be trouble. It could be real contentious, right?
Oh, yeah, it can be a real big problem. That's one of the topics that we have today in our law seminar that Susanna's going to touch on, so our boards can understand what they can legally do as far as parking violations and towing, and how to actually police our different associations on their parking rules.
Yeah, real tricky. The associations down there, some of them have some interesting parking rules, actually. There's some homes where you must park in your garages. A lot of developments that you manage were actually developed in 2004, 5, 6, 7, and some of them, wouldn't you agree, they didn't really envision that they would have big Escalades, big vehicles, big, what are those, Ford F-550
F-350 dually.
Yeah,
yes.
That would fit in garages, so you have those problems.
They can tow a house if needed.
Yeah, Diane.
Yeah, a lot of the problems that we have is some of the houses that were built, they say they're 2-car garages, but they're really not 2-car garages. So it's really even hard to get a regular-sized vehicle into them, or even 2 regular-sized vehicles. So we get the issue of someone parking 1 car in their garage, and then they've got cars on their driveway, they've got cars in the street, and it's real hard for us to uphold the parking rules sometimes because people just can't fit their cars in their garages.
Yeah, no kidding. So it makes it very difficult. So that's great that you're talking about today. And also Susanna Sendejas with Angius&Terry, the law firm. She's going to be speaking there. So Diana.
Hey, good on you for educating those board members, Diana. We appreciate that.
Diana, thank you for calling in. We're going to give you a $50 gift card for doing that. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're awesome.
Say hi.
Well, thank you guys for sponsoring this. I really appreciate it.
Oh, that's our pleasure. Say hi to everyone over there, and we will talk to you later.
Okay, thanks, Brad.
Okay, everyone, don't go away. Come right back. We're going to talk more about towing.
If your community association has a good relationship with their current management company, you can stop listening. However, if you are struggling with your current service provider, we'd love to talk with you to see if Omni Community Management would be a good fit. Transparency, education, communication, and trust are just 4 of the qualities that set Omni apart. This is Rolf Crocker, CEO of Omni. Call us at 916-965-8964. That's 916-965-8964. Online at omni-mgt.com. That's omni-mgt.com. Omni Community Management, your friend in the community association management industry for over 20 years.
Have you ever heard of the saying, a person's home is their castle? Of course you have. But sometimes a construction defect can turn your castle into a catastrophe. If this happens to you, you need proper and professional representation. You need Angius&Terry, LLP. For over 30 years, the attorneys at Angius&Terry have been effectively serving homeowners and community associations, recovering more than $500 million on behalf of their clients. Angius&Terry strives to ensure that your construction defect claims are prosecuted in an aggressive and cost-effective manner. Angius&Terry will also continue to work with homeowners and community associations after the construction defect claims are concluded to make sure that the money received from builders is spent wisely and that your interests are protected during the repair process. Don't let a construction defect turn your castle into a catastrophe. Call Angius&Terry LLP today at 916-567-1400. That's 916-567-1400. Online at angius-terry.com. Angius&Terry LLP.
News, opinion, insight. AM 1380. The Answer.
You're listening to the Saturday HOA Brunch presented by Angius&Terry LLP. And now your hosts Brad Epstein and Jonathan Broderick on AM 1380. The Answer.
Find a way to pay for it.
Yeah, it's an extra $400 a show, right?
Welcome back. Towing today.
One of the big 3 Ps: people, pets, and parking. So, always fun to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. So, Garth Leone is sitting in for Jonathan Broderick. Viana Barba's not here today. My name is Brad Epstein. We are talking about towing at community associations. Garth, he wants to touch upon the why, right?
Yeah.
Now, what do you mean by that?
Well, there's a ton of rules around this parking situation, both at the board level and, like you mentioned, the civil code. We're going to go through some more of that, which is great. It's great background to get into it. But I think one of the things that I've experienced in my 20 years in the business is that part of the reason this is so contentious is that it's not something that's real obvious to the homeowners, and they don't. A lot of times, there's a disconnect between the fact that when the association was filed with the Department of Real Estate in the county or the city, there's regulations as to how much width we need on the road, to get emergency vehicles through and that kind of thing. So these things are not just the board says, well, we just don't think it looks right for cars to be parked on the street. We want everybody's car in their driveway or in their garage. A lot of times it's driven by other outside things, right, Brad?
So it's not those mean board members that are acting like dictators at their whim as far as where they want people to park. It's not that at all.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the things that we do in community associations are around aesthetics and, preserving the value of the asset. No junkers on the front lawn because that could affect the value of the individual assets, and things like paint scheme colors and what kind of plants you can have, and and pitch of roof and design of homes and those kinds of things. A lot of those things are built around aesthetics, and I think that oftentimes this parking situation, homeowners run this into the area of like, it's just not, the board thinks it's not aesthetically pleasing to have my F-350 on the street, and I think it looks really cool, so why are they hassling me on this? So
that is why owners move into associations. A lot of owners, they move in particularly for the rules. The CC&Rs, they say, here are the specific rules where you can and cannot park. People move into associations. They may not be on the board, but they move into associations not to be a board member, but they want great people to run their board, and they want the rules enforced. And what you're talking about, it's a really good nugget, and that is the conditions of approval that the county or the city for the particular jurisdiction have for the particular development. And they could be something that runs to the order of 15 pages. But a list of different items that the development must comply with. These are not recorded, but courts, case law, Garth, case law has provided that they are enforceable as, say, the CC&Rs that are recorded, as, say, the subdivision map which is recorded. You have to comply with those conditions of approval, and you said the great example for today, because we're talking about towing, is where you would have the streets that would prohibit parking why? Because
they need a certain amount of width to get emergency vehicles through those associations. And in the dead of night, when everybody is asleep, if there's a fire and we have our cars parked on the street and there's exactly 6 feet to fit a 7-foot fire engine through, no one's going to be happy about that. And, you make an interesting point. They're not recorded. And things like a certain amount of open space compared to developed space is not something that's going to be recorded in the documents of the association, but it's going to be a condition of getting that association approved for development, correct?
Yeah. Let me clarify what I meant by recorded. So we hear that thrown around, recorded. What does it mean when the document is recorded? Well, you have in every county, you have the county recorder, and this is where all the deeds, the grant deeds for your home, transferring property from one to another, or where the trust deed is. That's the finance company, the lender, in order to have it run with the land, have it affect all the people in the world, it must be filed at the county recorder. That's just our system. It's been around for a long time. That means when something is recorded. However, the conditions of approval, they're not recorded. They're sitting in the archives of the city or the county. They're good to get. I have been able to resolve a lot of problems for associations by pulling those conditions of approval. Getting back to towing now. So this issue, which is directly related, is the red curb. I call it the red curb issue. And that is so you'll have these narrow streets, and it comes to a certain point where the board says, we got to do something to really notify the owners they're not supposed to park on these streets, these particular streets. And so it comes, okay, well, let's paint them red. What do you think happens? It's a big deal. Some people say, I don't want a red curb in front of me.
Yep.
And so we've dealt with that a lot. Okay, so
breaks the aesthetics. So it's oftentimes it's not an issue that's driven by aesthetics, like so many of the other issues. To your point, people move into an association because they want architectural uniformity. They feel that helps bolster the value of their individual home. If the guy next to him does not have the right to paint his house the color of the Denver Broncos, then that's going to help them with curb appeal and resale value of their largest investment. And this is one of those things where oftentimes it gets mixed in to the aesthetics conversation, and really that's not where it comes from. You'll never see it in the documents that there's no parking allowed on the road after midnight or whatever the time frame is, after 2 a.m, because the county says so. So it gets lumped in with the aesthetics piece, and that's a big spot for contention between homeowner and association.
Right. And where does it derive from, this aesthetics? Well, from really two directions. One is board members have a fiduciary duty to make sure that the properties are maintained and enhanced, that property values go up. And number two is you're going to have in your CC&Rs, the document filed with the county recorder that has to do with your association, and gives all the property rules, and it's going to talk about exactly the parameters. And generally and typically, as board members or the Architectural Control Committee, they have the discretion with respect to the aesthetics. Okay, so let's outline then our statutes. We're at Vehicle Code 22658. This is the statute for towing. Number one, this is probably the most popular way that associations have this power to tow, and that is that they have signs at every entrance and exit. And it looks like we have Diane on the line. Diane, it's so great to hear from you. I hope you will be ready to play Battle of Board Members. Have you been listening to us?
No, I haven't.
She's going to win anyway. I can feel it.
So how are you doing today? I got a chance to speak with you yesterday, and you said you're a little bit nervous, but I said, you don't need to be nervous. This is just good, clean fun. Actually,
I'm not nervous at all.
Okay.
I would love to listen to the show, but I wasn't able to reach it. I wasn't able to. The web address I have, 1380 amradiosacramento.com, did not work.
Oh my God. Yeah. You would go to KTKZ, but you know what? Now that you're on the line, we're going to tell you everything you need. Just stay on the line, Diane, okay? And listen.
Well, hold on a second.
Sure.
I'm getting a lot of static on a wireless phone. Can I call back on my cell phone? Maybe I'd have less static.
Let me see. Frank, is that okay? He's nodding his head yes. You go ahead and you call right back.
I'll call right back.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Diane's going to call back, and we're going to have Brianna in just a minute. So vehicle code, what's interesting is that the sign, so at each exit entrance, the sign has to be 17 inches by 22. So where did, Garth, I haven't asked you this question. I'm going to just throw it out. Where do you think they get this 17 by 22? How is that relevant? This is a little number quiz. Does that mean anything to you?
I think that it's a regulation by that vehicle code that says this is what constitutes readable readable information, correct?
Almost. Okay, I'm going to hold up a piece of paper. So how big is a piece of paper?
8.5 by 11.
Okay, double that. What do you got?
17 by 22.
17 by 22.
That's their reasoning? I knew it was big so you could read it. 2 times a piece of paper.
2 times a piece of paper.
Wow. Who's the genius that came up with that?
Not I, said the fly. Okay, so the lettering has to be at least an inch, and it has to have the information about the tow company, the telephone number, the information that an owner can look at if and when their vehicle gets towed.
So I'm intimately familiar with these tow signs because what I used to do when I wanted to quote an association is go find the tow sign, call the towing company, and ask who the management company was.
Hey, that's
Great
a
little
nugget.
prospecting tool.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to talk about enacting rules for towing and vehicle towing. Don't go away.
With SRN News, I'm Wally Hines in Washington. California fire officials say 250 additional homes have burned in that big Sierra Nevada wildfire, bringing the total to over 500. And officials are worried about a heat wave moving in this weekend that could erase gains they've been making against 2 big fires. An arrest in those Phoenix highway shootings that have rattled nerves and shattered windows on at least 11 vehicles.
Subject is in custody because the weapon that he owned is forensically linked to these crimes.
Colonel Frank Milstead, the suspect, identified as Leslie Allen Merritt Jr., was arrested yesterday at a suburban shopping center. He faces a range of charges that include criminal endangerment, assault, and unlawful discharge of a firearm. The House voting to place a 1-year moratorium on funding for Planned Parenthood. Tennessee's Marsha Blackburn.
A 1-year moratorium while we do our due diligence. That's what you call smart business. Doing your due diligence, being a steward of the taxpayers' money.
The president threatened to veto that measure if it reaches his desk. Democratic presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders making a stop on the late-night talk show circuit last night, visiting with Stephen Colbert on CBS.
You are a liberal and you are a socialist, and people call you a liberal and a socialist. Why will you not accept those 2 terms as the insults they're meant to be?
I prefer the term actually to be a progressive.
Ben Carson taking his GOP campaign to a conservative forum in South Carolina.
There are ways that you can get out of a state of dependency. Not listen to those people who are always patting you on the head and saying, there, you poor little thing, I'm going to take care of all your needs. That's not being kind.
GOP frontrunner Donald Trump skipping that forum. This is SRN News.
Having trouble understanding your community association's reserve study? Does your HOA's reserve study seem to be written in a strange language? Hi, I'm Robert Browning, owner of the Browning Reserve Group. At the Browning Reserve Group, we have been providing easy-to-understand reserve studies since 1999. We actually listen to our communities and help them plan for the future. Find us online at browningrg.com. That's browningrg.com, or toll free at 877-708-0600. That's 877-708-0600. Clarity from complexity, the Browning Reserve Group.
Did you see the story about the Homeowners Association? I wonder what their residents think.
I don't know, but I love my condominium association. The place looks great and is well managed, and our property values are increasing.
Well, that's a good thing.
Community Associations Institute, CAI, has helped us build a great community. They have tools for safeguarding our investment, including education for our board and professional training for our manager. Just visit CAI at responsiblecommunities.com.
Okay, responsiblecommunities.com.
Hi, I'm Morgan Fussell. My company, Broadband Agreements, negotiates cable television and broadband right of entry, access, and compensation agreements for your communities. At Broadband Agreements, we offer a free review of all agreements with a signed letter of authorization. Broadband Agreements will improve your community's income and/or savings, or you don't pay us a dime. Visit us at broadbandagreements.com. That's broadbandagreements.com. Or call me, Morgan Fussell, directly at 916-939-5026. That's 916-939-5026. Broadband Agreements online at broadbandagreements.com or 916-939-5026.
AM 1380, The Answer.
You're listening to the Saturday HOA Brunch presented by Angius&Terry, LLP. And now your hosts, Brad Epstein and Jonathan Broderick on AM 1380, The Answer.
Welcome back. I am the stunt double to Jonathan Broderick. Garth Leone here with Brad Epstein. So, Brad, get us right into the rules. There's a ton of rules that govern this stuff. I'm just going to turn it right over to you and let you walk right through that stuff.
That's right. Okay, so Diane and then Brianna, when you call in, what we're going to do is we're going to do the battle of the board members, and it's going to be a quiz, just true, false, real easy. We'll go back and forth, 3 questions and back and forth. But for now, you guys just listening, let me just say hi to Diane. Diane, are you on the line?
I'm on the line.
Excellent. You sound so much clearer, so just kick back for a while you listen to the towing laws. So first of all, in order for associations to tow, they need to have rules about towing. And in order for a rule to be enforceable, it has to be reasonable, not arbitrary. There has to be a real reason for a rule. That's basically what it's saying. It's saying you just can't make up a rule for no purpose. And that's sort of the whole fiduciary duty foundation for board members. There has to be a justification for what a board member does, every action, every decision. Rules may not be arbitrary. Also, in order for an association to be a rule, for an association to be enforceable, it has to be in writing. Garth, is that such a big deal, right? We can't just have this word of mouth. Oh yeah, that's a rule. Well, where is it? It has to be in writing.
Got to be documented, got to be available to all the homeowners so they know what the rules of engagement are.
Right. So in order for a board of directors to go ahead and adopt rules, so unlike CC&R where you need an amendment of the CC&Rs and vote of the owners, the board of directors can go ahead and adopt rules, and they just need to give notice of the rule 30 days before the board adopts a rule at a board meeting. 30 days. So 30-day notice to the owners, and they could post it or they can send it out. And that's actually relatively new, where board members can actually just post the notices of the rules. So then you're going to go ahead and you're going to sign up a tow company, right? So you're going to sign up a tow company. They're going to be your tow company. That's your written authorization to them. You're giving them written authorization. When you get that tow agreement, the first thing you want to do before you sign it is, Garth, what do you think you should do when an association board of directors get an agreement, a proposed contract for tow? What should they do with it?
I would say send it to the insurance guy.
Exactly.
Because
there's two people you want to send it to.
Send the insurance questions to the attorney, because they always seem to mix us up. No, don't send it to me. I will, if I get it, I will forward it on to your attorney. Definitely any contract, every contract, I think. Your legal counsel, your retained legal counsel needs to be involved in every single contract. I don't care if it's a half-page consulting agreement or a 45-page book on something somebody's going to do for your association. Every single contract needs a first review by the association council, and then the council can decide if insurance needs to get involved to make sure that we can meet the parameters of the contract.
Excellent. Okay, so the association, they sign up a tow company, and now it's time to go ahead and tow. So we have the different ways you can tow. You can have the signs posted, or if you don't have the signs, you can have the posting of the tow 96 hours before. But you need those rules, because how else are the owners going to know where they can and cannot park? If it's guest parking, can you tow from guest parking if an owner parks there? Sure, if you have a rule.
Now, a suggestion to the board and is something like, put a little primer as to why the rules exist. If we are locked down by county statute or by county requirements, let's remind our owners, hey, we don't do this because we're trying to make your life difficult. We're doing it because we're required to do it.
Yeah, excellent. So you keep going back to the fiduciary duty. I like that. So the neat thing about having that contract with the tow company is that the tow company, they're going to be responsible for damage to the vehicle, not the association. The tow company, they're under some particular duties that will be transmitted to them through the contract tow company. They must inform the owner of the grounds for removal of the vehicle. So they must give this information soon thereafter. The notice to the owner from the tow company. So once they tow it, they have to advise the owner. They have to go to the law enforcement within an hour, notify them, all these different ways so owners aren't left in the dark.
And that's all up to the tow company, right? The tow company's got to take care of that stuff. They tow the car. They got to let the owner know where it is. They got to let law enforcement know that they towed it, and those things.
Per the agreement. That's right, per the agreement. And so associations, again, those rules, I just wanted to throw out there that we have election rules too. They're not tow rules, but every association must have election rules. The association, they should review their parking rules. Like you said, put in there the justification. They should rule them they should review them to ensure compliance with the towing laws. The towing laws do change periodically. Sort of a surprise. It's not in the Davis-Stirling Act, so that's why sometimes you may not be aware of them. When a board does adopt the rules also, you want to remember that the board, at that meeting when they adopt them, they have to allow the owners to comment on the rules before they adopt them. They have to allow them to comment on them before they adopt them. And in addition, again, we talked about the size of the signs. And so, Garth, what's the size of the signs again?
2 times a piece of paper, which in Chico State math is 9 by 17. No, 17 by 21, because 11 times 2 is 21, right, Brad?
Right.
Chico State math.
Right. I think it's a reasonable law, and just like parking rules, they must be reasonable to be enforceable. As Garth said, the parking rules, they're designed to protect the property values. That's the fiduciary duty of the owners. And it's not the association, but it's the tow company if they tow the wrong vehicle, if that happens. Okay, so when we come back, we're going to play Battle of the Board Members. We're going to talk about these towing laws that we talked about. We're going to talk about, we'll review when we come back, and then we're going to hit the game when we come back. Stay on the line, Diane, and listeners, stay listening.
Hi, I'm Morgan Fussell. My company, Broadband Agreements, negotiates cable television and broadband right of entry, access, and compensation agreements for your communities. At Broadband Agreements, we offer a free review of all agreements with a signed letter of authorization. Broadband Agreements will improve your community's income and/or savings, or you don't pay us a dime. Visit us at broadbandagreements.com. That's broadbandagreements.com. Or call me, Morgan Fussell, directly at 916-939-5026. That's 916-939-5026. Broadband Agreements online at broadbandagreements.com or 916-939-5026.
The challenges presented by today's economy and rebounding housing market is forcing many homeowners association boards of directors to operate their HOAs more like a business. It's a balancing act of trying to stay solvent and still provide homeowners with quality amenities and services. One of the main challenges HOA boards are facing is attempting to recover unpaid HOA fees owed by delinquent homeowners. Collection efforts are often very time-consuming. If you want to get the HOA fees collection monkey off of your back, call ATC Assessment Collection Group. ATC is an attorney-supervised collection company, providing collection and foreclosure services to HOAs in both California and Nevada's most recognizable communities. Get back to what you actually volunteered to do as an HOA board member. Effectively oversee your community. Call ATC today at 916-641-1410. That's 916-641-1410. Online at atcacg.com. That's atcacg.com. ATC Assessment Collection Group.
News, opinion, insight. AM 1380. The Answer.
You're listening to the Saturday HOA Brunch presented by Angius&Terry, LLP. And now your hosts, Brad Epstein and Jonathan Broderick on AM 1380, The Answer.
We are back, and we are hopeful to get Brianna calling in. Diane, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Fantastic. So we should have a contestant for you soon. And we just want to go over one more time before we start the game the laws in the vehicle code for towing. And so you basically have, I would say you have 3 ways to tow. One is you have those signs at the entrances and exits, and they will allow you to tow, and you need rules in place. The next way is the 96-hour. You can go ahead and you don't need the signs, but you have to post that notice on the vehicle, and that sometimes it kind of makes, I think, board members nervous, so they like to get those signs. The third way is if the vehicle is actually inoperable. So you have an inoperable vehicle. Okay, so it looks like we're ready to go because we're happy to see that Brianna is on the line. Brianna, go ahead and say hi.
Hey, sorry I'm late. I've got 6 kiddos and totally lost track of time.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Is it the flu?
They both have a cold. 2 out of my 3.
2 out of 3. Hey, you guys, it's really going around. So I was just at a meeting when 3 out of the 5 board members were sick. It was great. You know, I'm surprised I'm not sick. Okay, so Brianna, have you been able to listen to our show at all though this morning?
I have briefly.
Briefly, good. I have full confidence in you that you're going to do just great because these questions are true false. So
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect, exactly. All right. So this is the favorite part of the show. This is why our listeners listen in, because they've listened to the show and now they get to sort of test themselves. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back and forth between you, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm first going to ask Diane. Diane, I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and after each of them, just give me true, false, true, false. Brianna, you wait until it's your turn, and it'll be the next series of 3 questions. And Garth is going to go ahead and ask you those questions. Okay, so true, false, true, false. First 3 questions will be Diane. Okay, so Diane, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Question number 1 for Diane. True, false. Association rules may not be arbitrary. True or false?
True.
True. Garth, are you writing this down? We don't have the
Yes, I am.
rambunctious
I'm
remaining
keeping
to
score.
keep score.
I'm keeping score.
Yay! Question number 2, Diane. The association is responsible for damage to a vehicle caused by the towing company. True or false?
Say that. Repeat the question.
Absolutely. Yeah, if we don't say it clearly, just ask us to repeat it. The association is responsible for damage to a vehicle caused by the towing company.
True.
That is false. Okay, 1 and 1. Number 3. In order for an association rule to be enforceable, it has to be in writing.
Absolutely. Yes. True.
Great job. 2 out of 3.
Not bad, 2 for 3.
Okay, over to Garth and Brianna.
All right, Brianna, are you ready?
Well, I knew all of those questions.
That's okay. You're going to know these next 3 too. Question number 1 for Brianna. Tow companies may only tow a vehicle if authorized by the association.
True.
Nice job.
Correct. Associations may tow vehicle if it is issues a notice of parking violation and 96 hours have elapsed since the issue of the notice.
True.
Nice job.
Very nice. The tow company must inform the owner of the grounds for the removal of the vehicle.
That's true.
Excellent.
Yes.
3 for 3. 3 for
All
3.
right. It's a tightly contested contest here.
Heavy competition. Diane, are you ready for round 2?
I am ready.
You are. You sound ready. Excellent. Okay, number 1. The notice to the owner from the towing company must state where the vehicle has been moved.
True.
Excellent. Number 2. The association may tow vehicles if it posts towing signs at the entrances and exits.
True.
Excellent. Nice job. 2 for 2 in this round so far. The 3rd question coming up. Number 3. Boards must adopt election rules.
True.
True.
Ooh,
She was
a little
listening.
trickeration,
Nice job.
a little trickeration, and she still got it. That is awesome. Brianna, are you ready?
No. Yes.
Now, it's okay to have one of those kids answer this too, if you like. Board should review their current parking rules to ensure compliance with towing laws.
True.
Awesome. Boards must allow owners to comment on proposed rules before the board adopts them.
That's true.
All right. Written authorization to tow the vehicle provided by the association to the towing company need only state the color and make of the vehicle.
False.
Oh, she is 6 for 6.
Nice job. Okay. Guess what? It's time for the lightning round. This is a little bit different. It's still true, false, but now we're going to have 5 questions. Diane, it's going to go back to you. Diane, it's going to be 5 questions, 45 seconds on the clock. Diane, are you ready?
I am ready.
You're ready. Okay. Number 1. In order for association rules to be enforceable, they must be consistent with the CC&Rs.
True.
Right. tow signs must be at least 17 inches by 22 inches.
True.
Right. Number 3, the towing company must first receive a written authorization from the association before they tow a vehicle.
True.
Correct. Number 4, the association must notify law enforcement within 5 days after a vehicle has been towed.
True.
That is false. It's actually 1 hour.
Trickeration. More trickeration.
Number 5, association's parking rules must be reasonable.
True.
True. Okay, nice job.
Excellent. All right, Brianna, you ready for the speed round?
Yes,
True
sir.
or false? Parking rules should be designed to protect property values.
True.
Excellent. Towing companies are not responsible for the validity of the tow if the association has provided them with written authorization.
That's true.
All right. The towing company is not responsible even if they tow the wrong car.
I would say false with that one.
You would be correct if you said false, because that is false. Boards must provide 30 days notice to owners before adopting a new parking rule.
True.
Yes. And one more for a perfect score. Associations may tow, obviously, inoperable vehicles without having adopted a towing rule. Obviously, inoperable vehicles without having adopted a towing rule.
That's tricky. I'd say false.
Oh, so close to a perfect score. That is true because, as Brad said, if it's obvious there's no engine, that thing's not going to be moved. So you can go ahead and tow that, right, Brad?
Exactly.
Wow.
So now we know when she was helping her children and not listening to the show.
That must have been during a nose blowing incident, I'm guessing.
So what's
yeah.
So what's the question again? So let's look at that one.
The question was: the association may tow obviously inoperable vehicles without having adopted a towing rule.
Right. So that is the third aspect of the vehicle code law for associations. First way to tow is if you have the signs, right, at the entrance. That's good. The second way is if you go ahead and you wait the 4 days, put the notice on the vehicle.
Notice in 96 hours.
96 hours. And the third way is if, hey, this vehicle isn't going anywhere. It's obvious it has no engine. You guys, you did great.
They both did great. So that was...
the first place winner is...
Brianna.
The second place winner is Diane.
Yep.
Diane,
Very
you didn't win, but you got second place, which means you have a $50 gift card. We're going to get your contact information later. Diane, did you still have a good time? Tell me you had a good time anyway.
I had a wonderful time.
Oh, thank you. I hope you listen again, and I hope we talk with you. I know you've been talking with Jonathan, so we hope we hear from you again. Brianna, how about you?
I had a fabulous time. It was so much fun.
They're so nice, aren't they?
Thanks for calling in, guys.
It's a great experience.
To have you on the phone.
Yeah, it's a great experience to play in our board game. If anyone else out there in Radioland wants to play on our board game, then please feel free to do so. You guys, thank you for calling in. Listeners, thank you. Now we're going to go to the tip of the week.
The tip of the week. The tip of the week is every community association ought to have workers' compensation. Is that a shameless plug? I think that's a shameless plug,
But it is
isn't
so
it?
important.
It
I
is
see
important.
the liability happen.
And we can tie it back in today's topic because, like I said, if you tow somebody's car and they're not aware of these rules and they get angry and come to the board member's house and decide that they need to punch you in the spleen for towing their F-350, well, that could be a work-related injury to a volunteer exercising their
The
duties.
old spleen punch.
The spleen punch. It's a good one. Exercising their duties on behalf of the association.
I'm a bottom line guy. What kind of money are we talking about to buy for an association to buy work? Association boards, they got to look at the money. They have a budget. How much money is it going to cost them?
$488 a year in the beautiful state of California, which is pennies per month per owner to protect against the uninsured contractor and association volunteer work-related injuries.
The uninsured contractor. It could happen. Board members, your contractor should be licensed and insured, but if something happens and there is a problem with your contractor, then what should you have? What kind of insurance should you have?
Got to have workers' compensation for that contractor's employees. We're breaking down an article on that, right, Brad? Little case. There's a case specific to California that addresses that Hyman case.
Yeah, so you have the Hyman case, which came out about 6 years ago, and this bolsters the idea that associations should have workers' compensation insurance. So I guess Insurance, we're going to end the show with insurance because liability could happen. Your tow truck company. I just had a case for an association where a tow truck company had the contract with the association where it threw the liability onto the association. They didn't come to me first. And so the association was liable in a lawsuit by the owner against the tow truck company, the security company, and the association.
That's what happens when you don't take the contract to the attorney, right?
And it also happens when you don't have the right kind of insurance as well.
Yes.
The association should have liability insurance. They should have directors and officers insurance, and that's will give you the protections under the Davis-Stirling Act. And Garth, what's the Davis-Stirling Act again?
It's the beautiful piece of legislation that runs community association land here in the beautiful state of California. Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.